Okay, so this is my review of the Google Pixel 5. I will briefly touch on the Pixel 4a 5G as well, but this video is primarily going to be focused on the Pixel 5. Right off the rip, I really like this phone, like a lot. They've done so much right with it. The one thing that I dislike about it, I'm just going to front load this video with the negative about this phone. I feel like this shouldn't be priced at $700. I wish this was a $600 phone. Now I understand that Google puts their phones on sales constantly, right? And when it does go on sale, I could see this thing hitting $600, but it is a $700 phone for all intents and purposes, so this video has to be framed around that. Let's start with aesthetics. I absolutely love the aesthetics of this phone. It feels nice in your hand. It's one-hand operable because of its smaller size, and it also has this nice, thin, symmetrical bezel that goes around the whole device. And this characteristic of that thin, symmetrical bezel is not easy to kind of showcase properly in a video. You look at these images and it looks nice, but when you see it in real life and you watch videos on it, there's something about this symmetry and just the narrow bezel that makes everything look quite nice on this display. Now, in terms of the material finish, it is a plastic-coated metal body. It's a personal preference thing. I really like it, but I can see why a lot of people wouldn't. Like, it doesn't feel like an ultra premium finish. It feels like plastic. It feels like a very tanky plastic phone, but it is metal underneath that top layer of plastic. Now, they're able to wirelessly charge this thing. There's probably a cutout in that area, I'm sure, but the wireless charging works really well, even going through that metal material. The fingerprint sensor mounted on the back, and this is a great spot. I feel like a lot of people appreciate rear-mounted fingerprint sensors. It's fast, gets into the device without any issues. I do wish there was a face unlock. Like, I'd be lying if I said I didn't miss it, because so many other flagships and semi-flagship phones have some kind of face biometric to get into phones, but the Pixel 5 doesn't, despite it having a perfectly usable front-facing camera looking right at me when I want to open up that phone. Now, the rest of the screen is awesome, like the ultra clean bezels I was talking about previously, and the flat edges are something I appreciate, and the image quality of the screen is also quite good. It's bright, good color accuracy. The 4a 5G has a slightly warmer screen, and the 5 has like a more natural color, but yeah, both screens are good. Now, the biggest difference between them is the presence of a 90 Hz panel on the Pixel 5. I have talked about this previously in other videos. I think high refresh phone screens are nice, but they're certainly not super important. I feel like it's something that, like, if you look on YouTube, most of the tech YouTubers and the enthusiasts of the phone world appreciate it because it's something you can see, right? And when you hold two phones side by side, you have a 60 Hertz and a 90 Hertz, and you're flipping through the UI. It's like the 90 Hertz screen or the 120 Hertz screen. It's like, wow, it's so fast. But the reality of usage, like, what are you actually using your phones for? High refresh phone screens don't really play a huge role in how we experience our phones, because we're usually looking at a still image, right? Unless you're weird and you're like watching YouTube videos and you like to scrub your UI while you're watching YouTube videos, or you're like scrolling through Reddit and somehow you can read while it's moving. The reality is, 60 Hertz screens are plenty good when it comes to phones. Now, the presence of it is nice, but the screen overall is really good, regardless of the refresh rate. The speakers are a different story, though. The bottom speakers are a lot louder than the earpiece speaker. So when you're watching stuff in stereo, there's a discrepancy between the left and right channel. It's something that bothers me, but it's not a huge deal, I don't think. The power button on the Pixel 5 is metal, or at least it looks metal, and it matches the G logo you can see in the cutout on the back of the phone. But for some reason, this metal button has a less tactile click than the plastic buttons on the 4A and the 4a 5G. Those are more satisfying to press. The battery life on this phone is fantastic. This is a 4080 milliamp hour battery, and I'm getting a comfortable 8 hours of screen on time on this thing. Easy 8 hours with like 3/4 screen brightness. I think most people will enjoy the increased battery life with the Pixel 5. The camera. This has a fantastic camera system, as you'd expect, but it's strange that the Pixel 5 has seemingly the same hardware and software as the Pixel 4a 5G, a phone that's $200 cheaper. But the more important conversation to be had here is just image quality. Now, a few years ago, when Pixels first started coming out with Night Sight and all their kind of software advancements in photography, they really stood out from everybody else, like from iPhones, from Samsung's phones. Like, they were just so much better than everybody else. But nowadays, in late 2020, I feel like the difference between what Pixels can do and what other flagships can do is not as pronounced anymore. I will say though that the Pixels with their new ultra-wide lens can shoot low light ultra-wides better than almost everyone else, but their other night sight stuff is good. Like, it's still really good, but it's not that different from everybody else right now, right? And same with shots that have high dynamic range. Pixels have traditionally done that stuff really well, but in late 2020, so is every other flagship phone. I mean, that's just competition, right? When you have one guy in the lead and they're just crushing it year on year in photography, that was Pixels. Everyone else feels the heat, they pick up the game, and now the playing ground is a lot more even. The one improvement that's most noticeable to me about these new Pixels is the video stabilization. It is weirdly smooth. It's almost gimbal-like. It's really well done. Image quality is good. So if you were shooting videos before with Pixels and you didn't like the shakiness of it, it is a lot better on the Pixel 5 and even the 4a 5G this year. Now, performance on the Pixel 5 is pretty good, even with most games, but because it's a step down from an 800 series chip, this is why I feel like the phone should be priced at $600, especially with that 4a 5G available. Okay, about that 4a 5G. This is the value king, without a doubt. Like I mentioned, the same camera hardware, great screen, great form factor, and a headphone jack, $200 cheaper. You can't go wrong with this one. But the reason why I like this one personally is like the size and the bigger battery, but this small compact size is something pretty special to me. Okay, that wraps up this video. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Thumbs if you liked it, subs if you loved it. I'll see you guys next time.